Many people are used to thinking of the United States as a land of opportunity, where you can become a millionaire overnight without money in your pocket. However, history remembers only a few such examples, and for the most part, Americans are content with ordinary salaries. That's what we're going to talk about in our video today. But before we start, subscribe to our channel, give us a like and post the video on social networks. Next, we will tell you about what salary in the United States in 2023. How much money is paid to Americans and how much migrants can earn. In America, wages are calculated a little differently than in many other countries. Many people are used to monthly amounts, but in the US, money is often paid once a week, and when talking about earnings, either the average wage per hour or the average wage per year is mentioned. To compare American wages with European wages, for example, you need to divide the annual amount by 12 or multiply the hourly rate by the number of hours per week, 35-40 hours on average, and then multiply the resulting amount by the number of weeks. Without an hourly wage system in the US is impossible because almost all Americans do not work on a standard schedule, but on a floating schedule. Therefore, the wage per hour format makes it very easy to pay employees. The fabulous figures mentioned in job postings can be a trick for those unfamiliar with US traditions. The wage indicated in a job application is always the amount without tax deduction. The tax itself depends on the amount of money the employee receives. Do not hurry to be surprised by high salaries in the USA. It is quite expensive to live in the country. What is the average salary in the US? Under this concept is the level of income, which, roughly speaking, allows you to live a full life. It means that the money received at work is enough not only for food, but also for the maintenance of a car, payment of all bills, rent, and even pension contributions, which in the future will allow you to have all of the above. Usually, the average salary level is set in each state based on prices and employer offers, and there are also standard amounts that the government recommends. In 2023, at the federal level, the average wage in the U.S. per hour is set at $26.50 to $27.03 per hour maximum. The average U.S. wage per year is set at $51,000, $53,500 per month, $4,300. At the same time, it has increased by 6% compared to 2022, and this trend continues year on year. Not all U.S. cities have average salary levels comparable to the recommended level, but the cases when it becomes less are rather exceptions. 10 states have average salary levels more than $20,000 a year above the recommended salary level. The average salary level in the U.S. for some states even exceeds the recommended salary level. For example, in 10 states of America it is consistently above $70,000 a year. On the other hand, there are states that do not reach the set bar or keep on its minimum border, which, given the trend in other parts of America, is not the best indicator. Leaders. States with average salaries above $70,000 per year. 1. Washington, D.C. 2. New York. 3. New Jersey. 4. California. 5. Massachusetts. 6. Colorado. 7. Illinois. 8. New Hampshire. 9. Connecticut. 10. Maryland. Some cities, which are located in the states with the highest average salary in the United States, pay, respectively, and the most money in the country. The absolute leader on this list is the city of San Mateo in the state of California, where the average salary is $82,000 per year. The difference in salary among the leading cities is $501,000. Rounding out the list is the city of Quincy in Massachusetts with an average salary of $79,200 per year. Other cities on the list include Boston, Daly City, Berkeley, Santa Monica, and Renton. According to U.S. laws, the minimum wage level may not be considered when it comes to hiring students who are looking for a part-time job. Apart from the average wage, there is also the concept of minimum wage in the U.S. The minimum wage in the United States in 2023 is calculated according to the requirements adopted in each individual state. Usually its level is close to the one mentioned in the federal law on minimum wage, and is equal to $7.25 per hour. In some cases, an employer may pay an employee at a lower rate, but this applies only to part-time students, caregivers, including babysitters, newspaper delivery workers, sailors serving foreign ships, employees of seasonal entertainment venues, such as parks during festivals, and agricultural workers on small farms. If you, having seen the amounts paid in America for work, grabbed the heart, do not hurry to be surprised. Salary in the U.S. after taxes looks a little different, and the amounts are shown exactly before deductions. The U.S. payroll tax increases proportionally to the amount of income, and in addition, taxes for single citizens and taxes for family people are noticeably different. Let's calculate by example. Receiving an average salary, for example, $53,000, the taxpayer, in theory, should pay 12% on it, that is, $6,360. It is important to clarify that, according to U.S. law, citizens, single, do not pay tax on the first $12,950, family on the first $25,900. That is, receiving $53,000, the tax must be paid from $40,050. It is already $4,806. The highest paid categories of citizens in the U.S. include, first of all, healthcare workers, of course, managers of enterprises, employees of airlines, especially pilots. Their average salaries range from $150,000 to $300,000 a year. Less than others earn employees of fast food restaurants and, in general, almost the entire food industry, employees of housing and utilities, hotel and leisure workers. Most often people without higher education, students and even migrants get such positions. Professions and average salaries per year. A teacher's salary in the U.S. is $52,000, $57,000 in elementary school, and $56,000, $65,000 in high school. The salary of a policeman in the USA is $58,000. A detective gets more by $9,000, an FBI agent by $20,000. The salary of a trucker in the U.S. ranges from $55,000 to $75,000. The salary of a programmer in the U.S. equals, on average, $89,000. The salary in McDonald's in the U.S. is at full-time employment of $36,000. The salary of an engineer in the U.S. varies greatly depending on the field. On average, it is $58,000 to $94,000. The salary of a nurse in the U.S. is often close to the minimum, with exceptions, from $45,000 to $75,000. A surgeon, for example, receives incomparably more, from $330,000 to $370,000. A driver's salary in the U.S. is $40,000. When enlisting in the U.S. Army, a new recruit immediately receives an account from $10,000 to $30,000 and a salary with a minimum rate of $1,300 per month. The amount increases every few months up to a maximum of $4,000. At the same time, for officers this amount doubles, and the highest ranks receive from $12,500 per month. Upon retirement, a one-time allowance of $13,000 to $160,000, rank and years spent in the Army play a role, and a monthly payment of $650 to $18,000. In addition, while serving in the U.S. military in the U.S. have a number of special benefits such as compensation for rent, additional payments, for example, for skydiving, and more favorable insurance. What is considered a reasonable salary in the U.S.? In 2023, this amount is called $100,000 a year for a family with one child, although, of course, the level of needs in different states will differ. And what Americans spend money on in the first place? 1. Insurance. In the U.S. there are a huge number of types of insurance, from medical, to social, pension, car insurance and others. Some of them are paid by the state or employer, but often Americans themselves have to splurge. 2. Housing. Housing prices are constantly and strongly increasing in the country, both renting and buying, as well as housing and utilities services, insurance and repairs. 3. Food. It is not only about food, which is not cheap in the country, but also about going to bars and restaurants. 4. Children. Schools in America are free for children from the age of 5, but kindergartens, on the contrary, are mostly private and expensive, which also applies to the services of nannies, without which you cannot do. Maternity leave in the country lasts only 12 weeks. 5. Taxes, last on the list, but more than significant item of expenditure. The average salary in the U.S., which is received by a construction worker, is not large, but a migrant will willingly take this job. Salaries in the U.S. that migrants can expect to earn are usually lower than the minimum wage for citizens. On average, it is about $6 per hour, even a little more than $2 per hour, if the work involves mandatory tips. This is the kind of work that is usually arranged by newcomers without knowledge of English, and without the language in the United States can find work. With such conditions, among the available jobs may be a washer, dishes, cars or windows, loader, janitor, even a nanny or housekeeper. Finding a job always involves all sorts of difficulties, and the first one on the way is the demand for the profession. In the United States, for example, it is very difficult to find work for journalists and photographers, musicians and designers. The most needed profession in the US traditionally remains a salesman. They receive much less, about half of the recommended average salary in the US, about $27,000 a year. If you have a diploma accepted in the US, you can get a job in higher-paying professions such as engineer, teacher, financial analyst, programmer, and even a doctor. Friends, if you liked our video, but you haven't subscribed to us yet, subscribe right now and post the video in social networks. There will be a lot of interesting things in the next issues. See you soon. Bye.